The Singapore Democratic Party unveiled a comprehensive manifesto on 20th April 2025, outlining an ambitious suite of policies aimed at reducing living costs and reshaping public systems in healthcare, housing, and education. The manifesto, titled Thrive, Not Just Survive, was launched at Yew Tee Square by party chairman Professor Paul Tambyah. Professor Tambyah, flanked by party leaders Bryan Lim, Jufri Salim, and Gigene Wong, described the document as a promise to the electorate. "It's a promise that we want you all to hold us accountable to," he said, urging voters to expect transparency and commitment from the party if elected. The manifesto outlines over 40 proposals, categorized under 6 thematic pillars: fair taxation, universal healthcare, environmental and social respect, rational immigration, affordable housing, and an inclusive education system. A core feature is the non-open market housing scheme. Under this, new Housing and Development Board flats would exclude land cost, reflecting only construction and administrative expenses. SDP estimates non-flat prices to start at 90,000 Singapore dollars for a 2-room unit, scaling up to 270,000 Singapore dollars for a 5-room flat. Non-flats would be sold back to HDB at the original price minus lease usage, with no access to the resale market. To address housing delays, HDB would be required to maintain buffer stock. First-time families and expectant couples would also benefit from balloting priority under a proposed Young Families Priority Scheme. Healthcare is another focus. The SDP proposes a single-payer national insurance system, replacing Medisafe, Medishield, and CareShield with a simplified structure. It includes tax-funded maternal and pediatric care, arguing this will help counter falling birth rates and ease financial strain on families. Primary care for chronic illnesses would operate on a risk-pooling model. Public hospital running costs would be tax-funded. The party also calls for dismantling healthcare clusters, arguing they create waste and inefficiencies, and returning to a unified public health sector. Hospice and home care would also be tax and donation funded, while private sector healthcare costs would be reined in through tighter oversight. The manifesto also outlines major tax reforms. Chief among these is the proposal to reduce the goods and services tax from 9% to 7%, and to abolish it entirely on essentials such as food and medicine. SDP also calls for a national minimum wage and a retrenchment insurance system, funded by Central Provident Fund contributions. It argues that current schemes like the Job Seeker Support Scheme are insufficient and overly complex. To boost economic equity, the party proposes divesting inefficient government-linked companies, phasing out state investor Temasek, and increasing transparency around GIC operations. For seniors, SDP wants a broader silver support scheme covering 80% of low-income elderly, providing them with 500 Singapore dollars monthly from a small share of reserve investment interest. In education, the SDP is proposing a fundamental transformation of the current system, which it criticizes as overly focused on competition and elitism. Central to its proposal is the complete removal of the primary school leaving examination, which it describes as a key source of stress and inequality. Instead, the party advocates a holistic approach to learning that places greater emphasis on creativity, collaboration, and individual development. It calls for smaller class sizes capped at 20 students and the introduction of a dedicated teacher system, where the same teacher guides a class for 3 consecutive years to enhance student support. SDP also proposes nationalizing all preschools, ensuring equal access to early childhood education, regardless of socio-economic status. It argues that existing government kindergartens remain insufficient in scope, leaving lower-income families at a disadvantage. The curriculum would be broadened to include speech and drama, digital literacy, student collaboration, and humanities, while reducing the content burden of subjects like mathematics and science. All forms of school and class ranking would be eliminated to reduce unnecessary academic pressure. At the tertiary level, interest-free student loans would be provided, with repayments beginning only upon employment. SDP also supports full academic autonomy, calling for democratically elected university leadership and greater academic freedom. On immigration, the party supports a talent track system where foreign professionals must meet strict skill and credential standards. companies would be required to prove that local talent is unavailable before hiring foreigners. SDP opposes what it terms unbridled immigration, claiming it has contributed to job competition and overcrowding. It also seeks to abolish the ethnic integration policy and remove racial identifiers from national identity cards to foster a unified national identity. Climate-related proposals include a moratorium on forest destruction, stronger promotion of electric vehicles for public transport, and increased funding for renewable energy innovation. The party highlighted the ongoing loss of green spaces, linking it to declining public well-being and warning of increased environmental degradation if current trends continue. The manifesto was launched days ahead of nomination day on 23 April, with the general election set for 3 May. The SDP is focusing on a northern strategy, with declared candidates in Marsiling Yew Tee GRC, Sembawang GRC, Sembawang West SMC, and Bukit Panjang SMC. SDP Secretary-General Dr. Chee Soon-won will contest Sembawang West SMC, while Professor Tambyah returns to Bukit Panjang SMC. "People know that if they vote us in, we will speak up on issues that matter," said Professor Tambyah. While the proposals are extensive and transformative, SDP asserts they are feasible, pointing to the government's 6.8 billion Singapore dollars budget surplus for 2025 as a potential funding source. As the campaign enters its final stretch, voters are now presented with a clear alternative vision, one that the SDP claims prioritizes dignity, equity, and sustainability over short-term handouts.